I am the Honorable Alhaji Alpha Kanu, presently the Minister of Information Communication in Sierra Leone. And as the title goes, I am responsible for information gathering, information dissemination, awareness raising, sensitization, mobilization on all matters of government policy and public policy. But I also act as the ICT Minister, i.e. for Communication Technology. And we are also working on trying to improve the connectivity of the country in terms of developing the digital economy. The challenge is not actually the unavailability of information. The information exists in every sphere. It is the access to that information, the availability of that information to those who need it to take decisions and make important impact on the socio-economic lives of the people that is absent. That is why our ministry, during my tenure, we set up what is called the Right to Access Information Commission in Sierra Leone to provide a repository of information regarding everything from governance to social issues, to cultural issues, to anything that has to do with the daily lives of the people, for people to have access to that, and by law for that information to be given to them within a particular delay. So the Commission is now active, and very recently they also launched what is called the Open Data Portal. So we are very much positioned to improve on that challenge in order for the people of Africa, and Sierra Leone in particular, to have access to information at all times. Communication industry for today is the sector that has the highest potential for growth, has the highest potential for young people to become entrepreneurs with very little capital. If I give you the example of the now globally accepted brand of mobile money company in Kenya called the M-Pesa. It is a company that was started by a young person who had this idea of transferring money through buying credit on telephone and collecting the money on the other side. So that is how it has built up, and this young man is now one of the richest in Africa. I believe that young people can follow that example. There's so much innovation available, but for you to do that, the government has its own imperatives that must be done first. The sine qua non conditions that must be fulfilled. And what are these? For me, I have always categorized them into four different items of intervention. The first one is infrastructure. You must have the right infrastructure. I spoke about the fiber. Once that is there, you have now put on the highway onto which somebody can run the transport system, the vehicles, the operators can run. But for them to run properly, there must be traffic rules. That is why you need a regulator. So good regulations must come in place to enhance the judicious and effective use of that highway, i.e. the infrastructure. Once that is done, then somebody needs to know how to use those vehicles, i.e. the devices that you are going to use to transport this information from A to B, from here to Port Loko, from Port Loko to Makeni, and from here even to Port Harcourt. You need that, but to do that, you need to know how to handle those devices. That is where education comes in, and I refer to digital literacy. People should have the ability to improve their capacity in learning how to use the mobile phone, which is one of the most powerful computers we have today, and to use it well, beyond just talking on the phone. So we are going to develop in this country a program that I always call computeracy, to borrow an analogy from numeracy and literacy. In order for you to be educated in this 21st century, you must have a third component to the numeracy and literacy. Numerate, you must know how to count. Literate, you must know how to read. That was the formula for describing an educated person. But now, you must know how to handle a computer. So we add computeracy there. So you have the numeracy, literacy, and computeracy. And in Sierra Leone, we are planning to introduce that into the normal school curriculum as a course subject from primary school onwards. The only people who are doing that now are private people who are doing computer classes, but they're expensive. But it is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. So once you have that computeracy, you have the infrastructure, you have the good regulations, you have the computeracy. The next thing is applications, where the operators come in. The operators put the devices on the networks. Once they are there, then the young people must come in with innovation. But they must have access to telephones. They must have access to tablets. They must have access to PCs. If they don't have that access, we've gone further to actually sort out companies that can provide shared devices. A company called Equatel came to unveil a device for us, a product they have, which allows school children or even the market women to only own a SIM card. You don't need a telephone, because that telephone that they'll fix there is a public telephone. You only come there with your own SIM card. You slot it in, and it is personalized for that moment that you're standing there. It is your phone, your number, your data, your picture, your email, your messages will come down to you. So the problem of having to buy a device, a telephone, will be eliminated for those who can't afford it. We will be providing public telephone booths in schools, in marketplaces, and all of it, where people who can't afford it only need to own a SIM card. And you have your personalized telephone for the moment that you are there. So in the order to reach the unserved and underserved, the unconnected, the government is looking at all possibilities, even in the rural areas. We're trying to find ways where we can extend the coverage of networks from their towers, extend it another 10, 15 kilometers to villages that may not have had that, either through satellite in country or through extension of other devices that can use aerials to pick up the signal and then redistribute it in a form of Wi-Fi. So we're working on all of this. So we have ideas. And these ideas are possible because the outlay, which is the most expensive part of it, has been done by government. We put the fiber on. So all we need to do now is look for small devices that can extend these services. And in these businesses, young people, we have areas of congregation here called attire bases, where young people sit down to talk. One of them could get up and set up his own Wi-Fi system there, buy a bandwidth from an operator, distribute it there, sell, what do you call charge, credit to the colleagues, and then they will make money out of it while they're having fun on the social media, while they're learning from the British Library or any other university's library, or even from F2A College and University of Port Harcourt. I mentioned it just now. All of these are now online. They have online services which people can. We have a university in India which has an e-learning MOU with us, with the University of Sierra Leone. And there are students right now as I speak who are taking courses at F2A College, sitting here and following live courses in Indian state of Andhra Pradesh without moving a finger. And that is the power and magic of the electromagnetic spectrum, which we have today, and we must need to use it as a natural resource that must be managed more, almost, if not more, jealously than even our natural resources that we talk about, because this is the growth area for the next generation. And examples abound. The richest people in the world today, they are stuck in trade. It's the electromagnetic spectrum. Bill Gates is the richest man in the world. What does he sell? The electromagnetic spectrum, internet connectivity, IT, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, electromagnetic spectrum. Carlos Slim in Mexico, electromagnetic spectrum. Steve Jobs. So this is the motivation. This is the way, the future for development, for young people in Africa. And we have the opportunity to do that because it costs not as much. All you need is brain power. All you need is that, and we have it. It abounds in Africa. Is to just make the young people aware of the existing opportunities in that field. We are introducing what is called international competitiveness, where the funds for FDI, the foreign direct investment, are limited, and the country has almost the same products to offer, like your neighbors. You must do something that is slightly above the other to attract the investor to come to you. So that your government policy must be the right one. The protection of investment must be important. And also the policies around natural resources, which are the main attraction for people from outside to come, must be, so you must have the right laws for that. The investment code must be attractive, and the tax laws must also be seen to be attracting foreign direct investment, because nobody comes there because they are Father Christmas. If they come here to invest, they want to take back some revenue. They want to take back some dividends home. And in so doing, they'll create employment for you, and they will also create revenue for your consolidated revenue fund. So I believe that government is doing the right thing. In agriculture today, we are encouraging people to come. We are providing guidance in the acquisition of land for agricultural projects. We are looking to encourage people who are coming in to invest into renewable energy through biologically related methods, such as ethanol and palm oil plantations. We are looking for people who come also to invest in our staple food. We import a total of about $50 to $60 million a year of rice from Vietnam, Pakistan, India, and all that to here. That $60 million can stay here if the rice is grown here. So if those investors come here with the right kind of capital and expertise to invest in our 15 million hectares of arable land, of which only about 5% is under cultivation, I believe that we can grow enough food to satisfy the local market, but then also to the sub-region. Nigeria, I know, they spend $1.5 billion a year to import rice into Nigeria. So the market is local. It is here. Instead of us taking this money out, we best can invest it inwards, but you need an entrepreneur with the right kind of skills, and the right kind of capital, access to capital, to do that. So the sky is the limit, really, in terms of investment in this country. We are also favored to have the iron ore deposit that is the highest in Africa, if not in the world. One particular mine alone, which was run by African Minerals, now on the Shandong, have a deposit of over 12 billion tons of iron ore, accessible iron ore. They've been operating since 2011 to now, and they have not even scratched the surface. And they are exporting almost 15 to 20 million tons a year from this country. Unless when Ebola came, everybody had to drop everything. But they started again. So there are so many things. Diamond, of course, we are well known for that. Diamonds are still plentiful and still beautiful. The woman's best friend. There's still, Sierra Leone is still the mecca for that. The gold, of course, is here. We have the highest deposit of rutile. So it abounds. Natural resources in the sea, fish. Our shrimps are well known. So Sierra Leone is a mecca for investment. And we are providing the enabling environment to attract the right kind of entrepreneurs to come into this country to invest. And of course, with the availability of the developments in the ICT, the fiber optic cable, and the connectivity and broadband, you are only a finger touch away from home, because you can sit here on your laptop, you'll be able to dial home and speak to your children on a daily basis, so you will not miss them. You can actually sit here, working in Sierra Leone, but also micromanaging the home back in Nigeria. So we are now in Sierra Leone very ready. So we believe that our international competitiveness is very effective. So the investors have an opportunity to come here. Air transport is another. The countries of the Mano River Union, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, are the most underserved in terms of domestic airlines. There is none in Sierra Leone. There is none in Liberia. There is none in Guinea. So for those people who are operating airlines in that congested airspace in Nigeria, so many airlines fighting for the same people all the time, you can think of coming here and setting up. When you put Ivory Coast into the equation, we have a population of 40 to 50 million people within the Mano River Union, and we don't have airlines. We need to interact with ourselves. We need to move from place to place. Road transport is another. Railways can help us. So we're looking for investment in every field. All of our goods come from overseas, and they are run, the shipping companies are run from overseas. So every penny we put in payment for the container to move from Europe to Sierra Leone is a capital flight, because I'm paying. I could pay that into a local shipping company. So that is another thing that we're looking at. So for me, I believe Sierra Leone is ripe for investment, and the door is open as the president is making the opportunities really abundant for investors to come. There's very little to be desired in our investment code. If you have your money in your pocket, you have access to capital, the right place to put it now is Sierra Leone. That is where you'll have an ROI, return on investment, of over 20 to 30%. In the West, you will not get more than 5%. In America, for now, I think it's 1% of your capital. But if you come to Sierra Leone and you invest in the area of mining, you invest in the area of fisheries, you invest in the areas of transportation, invest in the areas of service delivery, and in ICT, your return on investment will be phenomenal. I think you can reap anything between 20 to 30%. And that will make the people of Sierra Leone happy. It will make you happy because you are creating jobs. You are also making money for yourself. So come to Sierra Leone. We are open for investment.